Ano ang ibig pong sabihin ng tinatawag na meta-obesity at iba ba ito sa metabolic obesity po, doktora, Michelle?
Alright, thank you so much for the question, 'no? Kasi minsan hindi talaga naiintindihan ng karamihan kung anong ibig sabihin ng meta-obesity or metabolic syndrome. So sige, so actually there is a global crisis, 'no, ng metabolic syndrome. So para maintindihan natin yung urgency for this topic, we have to recognize that there is a global metabolic crisis already. To give you numbers, sa US po, yung incidence ng metabolic syndrome is 34.7%. There is an alarming increase, no, from 32. Dito naman sa developing country, from 20, umakyat po siya ng 27%. So, it's also important to understand na ang metabolic syndrome ay hindi isang sakit lang, but this is a cluster of escalating risk factors that are driving worldwide surge ng heart disease, ng type 2 diabetes at ng obesity. And I tell you, dietary modification remains the most economical and efficient frontline defense. Walang iba. Okay? Now, let me start with the 4 pillars of metabolic syndrome or meta-obesity. So, ano ba talaga itong condition na to? So, there are 4 pillars that you have to have so that you qualify to say na may metabolic syndrome ka. First, there is abdominal obesity, meaning yung taba natin ay concentrated dito sa tiyan. So, this is measured by waist circumference and yung body fat mo. Okay? So, tinitignan natin dyan yung waist-hip ratio. So, meaning, concentrated, minsan nakikita mo parang yung shape ng katawan para ng SpongeBob na wala na yung Coca-Cola body. So, that's one. Second is hyperglycemia. So, this is characterized by insulin resistance. Pwedeng slightly elevated yung blood sugar or pwedeng mataas na talaga yung yung fasting glucose ng pasyente. That's two. Pangatlo is dyslipidemia. Ibig sabihin mataas ang cholesterol, yung triglycerides, yung bad cholesterol at mababa yung good cholesterol. And finally, pang-apat, hypertension, no? Mataas ang blood pressure. So, ang diagnosis ng metabolic syndrome requires the convergence of these clinical markers para masabing meron tayong metabolic syndrome.
Oh, Miss Annie, umpisa pa lang yan ha. Ang dami na nating natutunan. Ano-ano po ba, Doktora, now that you have explained to us kung ano po itong obesity, meta-obesity, ano-ano po yung mga pangunahing risk factors na nagdudulot po ng meta-obesity sa mga Pilipino? Genetics lang po ba o lifestyle din po? Sige po, Doktora, explain niyo po sa amin.
Thank you, thank you. Number one, let me say na ito ay mostly lifestyle related. Pwede naman natin sabihin genetic yung hypertension, genetic din yung diabetes, pwedeng genetic din yung obesity. But did you know that less than 5% ng ating genetic makeup ang magkakaroon talaga ng expression sa ating kapangatawan. So most of those are actually lifestyle related, which are triggers. Sabi nga natin, usually yung ating genes are the bullet, pero yung lifestyle natin is the trigger. Meron tayong tinatawag na epigenetics. So it's either yung lifestyle kasi natin or our environmental exposure may either express or suppress the genes. No? So hindi ibig sabihin if you're born to parents na merong ganitong predisposing factors, madidevelop mo rin siya. So having said na ito ay dahil sa lifestyle, I would like to focus on the dietary intake. So ayan, pag-usapan natin ng pagkain. Filipinos, normally we eat a lot of fibers. No? Naalala niyo yung kanta, Bahay Kubo. Anong nakalagay doon? Lahat ng klaseng gulay, right? Pero ang Filipino ngayon, adulterated na pong kinakain natin. Mostly highly processed, ultra-processed food. No? Mostly fat-laden, naliligo sa mantika, etc. So, and people are taking less and less of fiber. Nasabi ko na, Attorney Dot and Miss Annie. It's really the low fiber diet that's mostly causing this problem. Kasi kung kulang ka sa fiber, remember fiber is 0 calorie. Tinatanggal mo yan sa kanin eh. Kaya nga nagiging puti yung kanin natin. Tinatanggal din natin yan doon sa harina, pinanggalingan ng harina. Kaya yung bread natin mostly white na rin. So tinatanggal din natin yan sa asukal. Kaya yung asukal natin ngayon ay puti na rin. So most of those are actually devoid of the fiber already. Now, let me discuss what fiber can do with metabolic syndrome at gaano ito kaimportante. So, I would like to talk about the taxonomy of the fiber. Yung fiber kasi may tinatawag tayong soluble part at insoluble part ng fiber. And then meron din tayong tinatawag na resistant starch, no? Na nade-develop natin doon sa fiber. So, this fiber can actually have 4 pathways of intervention. 4 ang pwede niyang gawin. So, we have number 1, obesity regulation. Number 2, insulin sensitivity. Yung ating lipid modulation and vascular health. 4. So, yung 4 na kondisyon doon sa metabolic syndrome, actually, nakokorek ng high fiber diet. Let's begin with dismantling obesity. Pag ikaw ay kumakain ng pagkain na mataas sa fiber, it increases satiety. Bakit? Kasi pag kumain ka ng fiber, lumalaki po yan sa tiyan. And when it increases its size in your stomach, it increases satiety, nabubusog ka. And that means hindi ka kain ng kain, o maya't maya nagugutom ka. So that's why when you eat something that's low fiber, maya-maya nagugutom ka ulit kasi devoid siya ng fiber. Okay? So that's also one. Kaya ang sinasabi natin lagi, when you take something with fiber as preload, it will suppress the hunger hormone like your ghrelin, your hunger and your satiety hormones like yung GLP-1. I know, very common. Alam natin yung ini-inject, Miss Annie and Attorney Dot, no? Kahit mahal yon, nagpapa-inject para mag-lose ng weight. Your fiber has that suppression capacity as well. Number 2, it combats insulin resistance. Pag kumain ka ng something with high fiber, it breaks your glycemic load, no, or glycemic spike. Dahil itong ating fiber ay nagdi-delay ng gastric emptying. So that means hindi magi-spike yung sugar sa blood mo. Ang mangyayari po niyan, paunti-unti yan na nag-i-increase, and then while you're moving, ginagamit mo rin yung energy na yon. Number 3, it reverses dyslipidemia. This is because of the viscosity trap na meron ang fiber. Kasi ang nangyayari niyan, pag tinake mo yung fiber in the gut, there will be a thick gel network. And then it traps your cholesterol. Yung kinain mo cholesterol and then your bile acids, nandun yung action niya. And then dinudumi mo yon. So what will happen is, kukunin niya uli yung ibang bad cholesterol sa dugo mo, and then it will go to the liver and it will be processed by your body, thereby decreasing your bad cholesterol. Okay? So napakadaling solusyon, right? Dinudumi mo yung cholesterol. And last but not the least, it's the lowering of blood pressure. So this is what we call the gut vascular axis. This is the final pathway. Actually, your fiber promotes microbial modulation. Yung good bacteria na napuproduce mo dahil dun sa high fiber diet. Gustong-gusto nila yung fiber kasi yun ang pagkain nila. Dadami sila. So it improves endothelial function, kaya nagve-vasodilate ka, nagre-relax yung blood vessels mo. So that's why your blood pressure will naturally decrease, which is secondary sa benefit mo dun sa insulin resistance, dun din sa lipid profile na bumababa. So this is a combined result that significantly decreases diastolic blood pressure. So, in general, this will dismantle the metabolic syndrome. So, ulitin ko, the final verdict here is improve dietary intake with high fiber sources. So, gusto kong sabihin, saan ba galing ang fiber? Most of the Filipinos ang alam kung saan ang source ng fiber, gulay lang at prutas. Actually, ang highest source ng fiber po ay galing sa beans. Pwedeng sa munggo, no? Pwedeng sa red beans, pwedeng sa black beans, sa white beans, no? String beans, for example, maraming source ng beans, no? And it actually tells us with regards to evidence, no, there will be 30% reduction ng metabesity or metabolic syndrome with global cross-sectional population. Ito doon sa research, bababa yan kapag pinalitan natin yung diet natin into high fiber.
Bye.